Okay, well,
I see Mitch, like, honestly,
you guys have been on Yeah, you said that was outside, right?
He was.
Wait 1 second here. Give me a minute. Hello, Robert.
Where's our solicitor? Oh, no. That's actually the only person we need. Because it takes some minutes. No, because the PRD conversation, the only thing on the agenda.
If you don't need the PRD conversation if the applicant doesn't show up.
Well, it's all because of something he added to the minutes that we're having this meeting. I want to understand that, right?
What is there to discuss on the PRD?
Well, he
We
added,
don't think anything.
he added on the minutes something about, since then I've changed my recommendation.
It's this one. Here.
That from Ron?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. At least that was last week. Maybe we'll change it next week.
Okay. Well,
There.
there he is. Good evening.
Here, Martha. Yeah. Take my hair. I've got mine from the email, so.
Let him get his tablet out, Dave. Jeez.
Oh,
You going to the fire here? or what?
Back issues?
no, I'm just.
Are you getting ready?
Getting ready.
All right. Thank, Doug's taking his time, Jeff. We don't need him for one.
We don't. Are you ready to hit record here? Or is it recording already? Okay, then let's get started. Say the pledge, please.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes, I can hear everyone. Okay. All right, let's call the meeting to order. This is the regular September 2022 meeting of the Smithfield Township Planning Commission. We have quorum in place. And Ron, you got the members here that are present?
I do, and I have the absent ones also.
Okay, I thought Doug was here, but okay. Said the pledge of allegiance, and now let's look at the August 11, 2022 minutes.
So I do have a question on this.
Go ahead.
On this note. Related to the Shawnee Valley PRD, the note about based on subsequent correspondence. I'm just wondering if it should be in the minutes, because the minutes is what happened, not what has since happened. It strikes me that that statement should make a part of our current minutes and be the first thing that is discussed in the Shawnee Valley PRD.
Well, I'd like to leave it in there, to be honest with you, because we did have a discussion over whether or not it was to be here or whether it was going to be back to litigation, even during the last meeting.
But this is a recommendation that is being stated by the solicitor that was not stated during that meeting.
No, it was originally. Yeah, he did say that.
The thing on the bottom.
Yeah. He started there, and then he came back, and then we moved back and forth a bit, but I'd like to leave it in.
All right, well, then maybe, I mean, the way it's framed right now, it says based on subsequent correspondence, meaning after this meeting. It just strikes me as a little odd for a minute. I don't know.
The 9th is before the 11th.
What?
Aren't you looking at page
5.
5?
No, the bottom.
I mean, on the bottom, the note there at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
2.
Oh, I see it.
Page.
Okay, okay.
If you're, I mean, if you're fine with it, I don't mind. It just,
The second reason, I'd like to leave it in is because this is, I mean, they're otherwise fairly detailed. This is it's basically the record of what we do here, because we're not a stenography
that's what I
reporter.
was saying. I would think that would belong in today's minutes, but that's fine.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
That's fine. That's fine.
Our discussion of it's gonna be in today's minutes too, so
Correct.
we'll make it for, it'll be for both. So I make a motion that we approve the minutes of August 11, 2022. Any seconds? Chris seconds. Any other discussion, gentlemen? All right, all in favor? Aye. Okay, they're approved. Now, well, yes, Martha, any comments on the agenda? You're the only public. Just on the agenda, then we'll move on to the new business and the other items. Okay. All right, so let's see what we have that has not been tabled, etc. We will. Yeah, because the email, we'll formally table. So it looks like C and F are the two items that deal with Black Buffalo. They've made the request by email today to table both of those items until our October 13, 2022 meeting. I make a motion that we table items C and F, Black Buffalo Land Development Plan and the Black Buffalo Review Conditional Use Application.
Second.
Seconded by Dave. Any other discussion? Okay. It's actually not tabled to 11, and that was extended to 11:10 really from last week. That's actually, it's not, it's actually extended that far. We have until 11:10 to deal with action on that. Yeah, before it goes on. Yeah, to October 13th. Okay. All right, now we know the petition.
On that?
What?
All in favor?
Oh, I'm sorry, all in favor? Aye, thank you very much. All right, so A, I'm not really sure why A is on this one because we'd agreed that this is going to be held at a special meeting of this board on September 22, 2022.
I think it was just put on, Mr. Chair, to not lose track of it, similar with the Shawnee Valley PRD, which I'll comment on when we get there. So I
Yeah,
think
we'll
it's
get-
just a matter not to lose track of it, that's all.
Okay, so it's tabled to their end. I don't think we need to do any act from before. We don't need any action, no action, no action needed. Hey, Doug. All right, now, let's B, hang on. B is the Franklin Hill Manor Land Development Plan. I guess that came in today too. I did not see that.
They sent an email, I don't know who all got it, but they requested they be tabled.
Hey, how you doing?
Now, you should know, Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
that an extension was given in this matter to September 30 only. I don't mean only, but that's when it expires. Now, Mr. Meckes does say in his
Yeah.
email that if another extension is needed, let him know. And in fact, a half hour before I came here, I sent him an extension.
You
form.
sent him an extension, okay.
But I don't know if he's going to sign it, so I don't know if you want to make a recommendation to deny the plan based upon the review letter of August 23, unless an extension is given. That's up to you.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I would say we make a recommendation to deny the plan. Unless he signs an extension of time, because this is his request for a continuance.
The denial would be based upon the
Whatever it was.
township engineer review letter of
Yeah.
August 23, which is in your file.
Okay, that's in the other, yeah. So yes, that. Anybody second that? Yes,
I'll second that.
okay. Any other discussion or all in favor? What is going on and off here? All right, all in favor? Okay,
Oh, something just reached that.
all right. Let's go to D then. The Shawnee Valley PRD Land Development Plan.
And again, Mr. Chair, that's just a carryover. If you recall, the applicant is of the position that they have an approved plan based upon the township review in December of 2005. So there's really nothing to act upon based upon the applicant's position. But again, it's here, so we don't lose track of it. And it probably can be taken off the agenda moving forward now that we know that's the position that they've taken.
Can we have an update on what the legal situation is related to your your aspect comment?
As far as I understand, I believe that Shawnee Preservation may be filing a lawsuit with respect to having the settlement agreement interpreted.
Okay.
I don't know that for a fact. I just know that I've heard that in various discussions. And whether or not the township becomes part of that suit, I'm not certain, but obviously the fight is more between Shawnee Preservation and Shawnee Development.
So then, is there anything that we are then going to have to do?
I
Because
don't think you have to do anything, and I would recommend it come off of the agenda, because again, the applicant is of the position. We don't need to, the township doesn't need to do anything because it's an approved plan.
Did the applicant formally withdraw the application? We know.
You mean the one for the 2021?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he did.
he did that already. That's why we were back.
That had been-
That's why they're back at the old at the old settlement agreement
So in
from.
other words, we have our plans, we have our approvals, we're gonna start construction.
Well, the only thing we need to do is enter into an improvements agreement, post-performance security, and off we go.
Unless,
And obviously Shawnee Preservation has a different view.
Well, you know, so they've obviously disagreement
Mhm.
between certification and settlement, and so we are, you know, we divide, you know, the letter following, I guess the supervisor duties and now after that one.
Yes, because I had changed my mind, quite frankly. I agreed with Headhunter until I looked at the settlement agreement again. And the settlement agreement for stage 1B, there's 4 items dealing with that stage 1B that changed it. Dealing with, I don't know, the road, the dam or whatever. I think that changes it, but again, I'd rather have a judge decide, because no matter what we do, we're gonna be in trouble with somebody.
yeah,
we-
The letter, you know, suggesting that both parties give assessment
Mhm.
report, that's what we're
Okay.
moving forward.
All right. Yeah, then let's make sure, let's take that off the agenda for you going forward, because we really don't have anything to act on. Yeah, let's just do that. Stricken. All right. Fence ordinance. I guess that'd be the only thing left.
Just carried over from last month. I think the feeling was to discuss it either this month or read it or have some comments on it. We do have the Township Planning Commission or Monroe County Planning Commission review of it.
Is that in here?
It's not paid on paper, but we have it electronically.
From when?
June 16th.
Are you looking for the letter or are you looking for the ordinance, Mr. Chair?
I'm looking for the ordinance that we're supposed to look at.
Yeah, I have a draft that's dated 6/16.
Sent to us on June 23rd.
Well, there's no way I'd be able to see that from here. That got pulled down onto my system then.
I've looked at it a number of times, so you can, if
Okay.
you need to.
Check it out. Here's a bigger question. Why are we worrying about a fence ordinance?
Well, I believe Supervisor Lopenheim has some feeling that there may be some issues, so that he is suggesting that this be something to be considered, so. Other than that, I can't answer anything further.
Yeah, I understand.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I see that this ordinance, is basically requiring a permit and, you know, the cost of which would be set by the supervisors, I guess it says that standard language. I'm just curious, are you allowed to have an ordinance that says you're required to meet certain specifications related to construction of a fence, but don't actually have to get the actual permit? I'm just curious.
There certainly should be a permit procedure in place anytime there's any type of significant construction on someone's property, putting up an outdoor shed, you're putting in a pool, you're putting in a fence.
Well, there isn't in our township. You're allowed to put up fences without any sort of permit.
Well, but you might want to consider as
No, I
part of your.
understand. My question is not that. My question is, are you allowed to have an ordinance that says, for instance, your grass must be 4 inches high, but you don't actually have to get a permit. You just have to
I think you can say that, but how you're gonna enforce it might be a whole nother animal.
Well, that's another question. That's another point. I guess my question is just, would you be allowed to say all these things that are in this ordinance? If you are to build a fence, it must meet these criteria without actually requiring someone to pay and get a permit. You might not agree that that's the way forward. I just want to know if you're allowed.
I would think you could. I mean, if you think of, let's say, a property maintenance code ordinance, it basically says you must do these certain things, and it doesn't necessarily key in the screens, the height of grass, et cetera, into a permit process. So I think the answer is yes. Do I think it's a good idea? No.
No, I voted nay
On what?
on the fence ordinance.
Yeah.
I voted against.
Oh, did it already go through?
Well, went through to come to you, right? So I think initially approved it. I can't even remember, Ron.
Well, there was like a tentative approval, but there was no formal hearing because the matter needed to be reviewed not only by Monroe County Planning, which they did, but also by this esteemed group of gentlemen.
So personally, I agree with some of you.
So if we were to make recommendation to approve the ordinance, I think it's to the supervisor, it's not gonna go through, you know what I'm hearing?
I think you should make your recommendation.
So what do we have now? Do we have any kind of a fence ordinance?
I think we do.
So what was the catalyst for starting this? Who was the spearhead behind it?
Wasn't me, that's all I can say. I don't. But it was complaints. And
Who actually wrote it?
we just, we, Ron said we had a tentative.
Okay.
I personally think there could be something that's 1/3 this length that basically highlights things that the specifications, if that must be in place. I'm not a fan of putting into place a permit, but I do think you shouldn't be able to build a 40-foot wall around your property.
Just personally, I think it's intruding on people's rights on their property. Get a permit, pay for a permit. And, you know,
Do other townships around us have fences? You know, other townships around us have fences?
Upper Mount Bethel, where I am also solicitor, you better get.
Stroudsburg does it too. Look, I'm not a big fan of making solutions that are searching for problems. I don't think this is really I would not put this on the top of my list of pressing concerns that this township has. I actually don't think we really even need a fencing ordinance at this point.
I think, yeah, my other thought there is that one of the big things we complain about is the lack of enforcement. on
Well,
them.
I was gonna go there next, but I don't want to sound like piling on.
Another thing that has to be enforced that will either not be enforced or be enforced by, because the neighbor has complained compared to actually some sort of systematic addressing of neighbor issues.
Another problem is just our record of enforcement and things like this.
The recommendation of the commission can be simply, we don't recommend the fence ordinance. Thank you very much, and it's off your agenda.
Who said that?
Well, we're gonna see if you get a second now. but-
I'll get a second. I'll second it. I don't think this is one of our pressing. I don't think we need a fence ordinance. No. Any other discussion? Thoughts? No? All in favor? Okay, recommend denial. Yeah. All right, good. All right,
Is that it?
yeah.
Said, for the Black Buffalo conditional use, Mr. Albert, you should know that the time for that is October 20, the deadline is October 24 for the supervisors to have their hearing. So
Yeah, but we've put it on 13th.
you have it on the 13th and you review it, and there's only 2 items. What's it, the 2 floodplain issues?
One is a very small floodplain issue, which I don't think is material.
The sewer pipe,
The storm sewer pipe, yeah.
okay, storm sewer pipe.
And
I don't remember, but because it's work in a floodplain, you gotta have a conditional.
But
use.
it's not the preliminary final plan.
No.
That's the
No,
other,
it's
that's the other one.
That's November.
Use. This is similar to like for Paso, where he needed a conditional use to put in the storage units, then he came in with the land development plan
Yeah,
to show
yeah,
where
yeah,
they
yeah.
were and what they're gonna do and all that stuff.
Well, let me just say one thing, getting into the storm sewer issue before we get into the application itself for the preliminary final plan, would seem putting the cart before the horse. I mean, shouldn't they first shouldn't we have a review of the actual plan? They could integrate the storm sewer to that, no? Why does it have to be considered separately?
It has to be considered, you sort of have 2 or 3 questions there. It has to be considered separately because any activity in the floodplain requires a conditional use.
Yeah,
So one of their storm sewer outfall pipes from their detention basin is discharging into I guess it's the Sambo Creek, and it's in the floodplain.
Right.
So they need a conditional use for that. Now, they have submitted their plan. It is currently under review and before the planning commission.
Right.
So it's not like they're asking for this without you having seen what it's all about.
right.
They don't have an approval yet for their preliminary plan, and that could take, I don't know, 2, 3 months, whatever it takes. But they do have to get a conditional use. Whether you give it to them now or later, I guess is up to you.
Ron, I'm gonna have a question for you coming up here, because the September 22 thing, I would expect will get sticky. This is a request for a zoning change. We have no time period.
No time period, there's no appeal rights to it. No,
What's
if
the
it was
request? Can someone remind me?
just adding 6 additional parcels of land to the economic development zone.
Oh, they can group this
Like we
already.
just did that.
They
just
are.
maybe-
So Russ Scott can build a warehouse on the Mountain Manor. That's what he wants to do.
On Mountain Manor.
On
And is
that,
it presently what is it?
It's R1
it's RC. no?
or RC. But he basically wants an art warehouse. I don't know why we're under any time pressure whatsoever.
We're not.
We accommodated for the September 22nd.
Accommodated it because it's advertised for the public
Okay,
hearing by the supervisors on September 28th. It's already been advertised for September
okay,
28th.
but there's nothing even that makes it that there has to be a public hearing by the supervisors. That's up to them.
There has to be a hearing on the petition, but it's not something that requires any time frame or any deadline. It's a zoning amendment, just as if the planning commission made the zoning amendment or the supervisors did their amendment. In fact, they added a couple lots, I think, a month or 2 ago, a couple lots to the map.
Look at 447 over there, yeah.
So you gotta have a little hearing with respect to that, but there's no appeal, there's no right to appeal, there's none of that unless they file it in another way, like a curative amendment or validity challenge. Or
Yeah,
something like that.
those are rare, so.
So,
I mean, just one comment on that. I don't know anything about the specific parcel, so irrespective of that particular parcel. I do think one of the things that has happened by creating this economic development zone with essentially with all commercial properties, we have increased residential opportunities because it enables all of those commercial land to have residential on them. So we should be thinking about that when there's a possibility of converting a residential to an economic as a sort of offset. I mentioned this point a long time ago.
Does anyone
Does that
have,
make sense what I just said? Do you understand
yeah,
what I said?
but it ties into what Robert was asking me the other day. I mean, does anyone have a copy? You might have asked everyone, but does anybody here have a copy of the Tom Committa final, presentation, which showed mixed use village concept development on that matter?
Yeah, but it wasn't on the map, but in the final version.
No, it was not on our map, but This was the survey we paid from in $40,000, you remember, and lay out sort of a plan for the township.
Conceptual
Pointed out
plan.
that
Mhm.
it's being a natural place for the township center, which would be mainly residential, but maybe some commercial mixed in for use of people who live there.
But the way our ordinance finally came out, if it does go economic development, they could also put up a kind of where.
Anyway, if anybody has the plan, it'd be nice to look at it to see what was proposed and interested. At the time, we never had a developer. Who was
How long ago was that? I don't know, like 40 years
A
ago.
couple of years ago.
But didn't someone like 15 years ago try and create something with the old Mountain Manor property
Yes.
in that commercial?
Yeah,
Yeah, he had something all just like that, basically. Residential above, commercial below, and that was the whole.
Was that the Larry Simon?
yes. He had actually a table.
I saw a whole diagram of it.
Yeah.
Something like that, definitely. It's good.
And I think the committed plan was something the same, but I never
was.
saw the Larry Simon.
But if it's an R1, would they be able to do that now?
They could do, they couldn't do what the committee had suggested because there probably have to be a combination of R1 and R2. And they couldn't do, you know,
Is it R1?
stores or something which they might want to do as part of the town center. If there was some interesting plan, I think we all be willing to look at it and see what possibilities we can figure out for it. But so far, we haven't had that plan come in, except when Larry Simon brought it, and that was, I don't know how many years.
10 years
ago.
ago.
10 years.
There's more than that.
So right now, with an R1, they could go in there and put in 1 acre lots
Yeah.
and build homes,
They could, but not.
but not commercial, right? For them to have a mixed use, you'd have to change it to what they could do, like stores or like box store, a warehouse, that all lumps into the same.
If it was, if you took, Ron, if you took the whole of Mountain Manor and rezoned it to ED, could you then do the village plan concept, the mixed use?
Yes, and you could also.
If
build
you had
warehouse.
enough acreage and stuff.
You could do warehouses or funeral homes too.
There's no acreage requirements in these.
But your chair is very astute, as he always is.
Yeah.
Because I got a call from Attorney Maturga last week, the attorney for this project, and he said, have you heard anything about people objecting to this plan or that there's opposition to this plan? I said, Ralph, I don't even know what day it is, I haven't heard anything, but apparently there must be something going on for him to give me a call
Oh, yeah.
and question me about whether or not there's some opposition to this plan.
I haven't heard of anything, but it seemed like people in Craig's Meadow Road would be interested.
They've already sent out a letter to all the residents from Craigslist Road
They did?
about it.
I expect that this
they?
is going to be, I expect that this is good, that it will be a contentious meeting. This room will be filled.
Yeah.
And so will your supervisors meeting. Which you don't even have to have, because we have no time pressure on that. I don't know why it's scheduled for September 28th. We don't have to have it.
I was directed to.
No, I know that, I know.
You were directed what?
To advertise it for September 28th.
By the supervisors?
Yes.
This petition or the application has been, I think, around the first part of August.
Been in for a while.
So what if the applicant got wind of the objection? They said, okay, we're not gonna do a warehouse. We're gonna do a village. We're gonna do a nice little village with stores on the bottom and residential on the top. But we need you to change it to an ED.
And we do, and then. they
Yay.
do whatever they want.
And then they
Pull
put,
the plan. and
That's
they put
right.
A warehouse up.
that's right. That's what would happen.
So this is one of the challenges with the way we did the ED, because we had thought about it from replacing the commercial zone
Right.
where they could already put a warehouse up. And now we're saying, well, instead of just a warehouse, you're gonna have this sort of more flexible option. But if you are gonna start changing Rs, which I also think there's a value for if you're just gonna overall increase residential, but there needs to be some sort of protection that it must be mixed use.
Well, remember, there are, I think, what, 6 parcels?
I think there's 6.
we could look at it and say that parcel 2 and 3 are possibly good for the ED zone, but the other ones that are not. You don't have to approve all of them at once. And the other thing is, the county planning commission has already warned us that it could potentially be spot zoning. So we have sort of a.
Is it not congruous? Is it not contiguous, rather?
It's contiguous. I don't know how they get spot zoning on the contiguous.
That was one of the warnings in your letter. Be looking upon as spot zoning. So again, we have some leeway of, well, how do we want, how much of this, how do we want to interpret it? What would we possibly allow? You know,
So one of my concerns has always been where we have somebody come in and changes the zoning to
Yep.
benefit them, but yet it doesn't benefit the neighbor. One of my objections was right behind the odd lot outlet, there's a residential property
and what?
behind the odd lot outlet. Years ago.
Behind into the,
This side.
Yeah.
There was a house there and they
Yeah.
bought it, they tore the house down, but before they did that, they wanted it zoned commercial. And I objected to that because there's residences next to it. So now I've got a house next to a house and now all of a sudden it's commercial.
Well, look at what happened with Dollar General on Milford Road. There's a beautiful house next door. Because it was always commercial, they would put
Well, that's true, but that was allowed. And the people that have that house knew, because I know the architect that designed it, and they said, there's a chance that somebody's going to put up a commercial building next to us. And they took the chance.
the same thing that we're dealing with the Black Buffalo. There's a bunch of residential right next to an industrial.
Yeah, but that's the way it's always been.
But-
I know, that's what I'm saying, but they
That's right.
didn't realize that it could potentially be something
Well,
different.
that's their fault. I mean, they
Yeah.
didn't do their homework.
But I'm gonna tell you right now, I have a major problem going from an existing R district
I do
and
too.
the surrounding neighborhoods to anything.
I do too.
To anything else, because those people around there's an expectation when you're buying in an R district that it's going to remain in our district, not cleaved off a chunk, which is how when we did the other. So I'm warning you now, because I'm coming with both barrels.
It can't be our one if that's not on there.
No, it's RC.
Well, even RC, it doesn't matter.
It's R though. It's recreational.
Yeah, that's right.
Probably in our.
It's probably RC.
I agree with
That's what
Scott. I do not like.
I'm coming with both
changing
barrels. I'm gonna tell you right
residential.
now.
And I think it would even be somewhat of a hard sell to change it to a new district that would allow what we originally intended the ED to be for. I think that might even be.
Especially because it's property.
we could create a district.
Well, let's wait till that
Prime
bridge
or-
comes for us to cross. Right now, it's not
The
there.
other thing, Joe, is, this, application is by, I believe it's Scott Representative's partner, but there's another developer who has much more, I would say, on their, plan in mind, who, depending on what happens with this one, they come in on its own, with another one.
But I think Dave made a great point, though, that we have to be careful. You don't change something when someone says, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this mixed use, but actually they end up not doing it.
Switch,
And now they have
bait
the
and
right,
switch.
switch and bait.
I agree.
I mean, maybe it's something that down the line, I'm not saying you do it, I'm not saying for this particular property, but if there was a RC or something that made sense to be a mixed use development, but there is something down the line that is like the economic development zone, but there must be a mixed use. As opposed to the option of. a mixed use.
So in other words, our new ordinances, our ED ordinance should be shaped to create a separate category of ED.
Well,
Is that
separate
what you're saying,
category,
basically?
all of the EV that we had was converted from commercial. So it made sense to say, well, now if you do it, these things, you can have some residential on it. But if all of a sudden you're taking something that's right now already residential and you're converting it to mixed use, which I think is actually good. I mean, I think those sorts of zones are great, actually. Little corner shops
Yeah.
and general stores in a little residential area. We want to promote that sort of thing. But you need to make sure that there must be a mixed use. It can't just be, well, now you can also do anything commercial there.
Agreed. And why would they put a warehouse there? The access is horrible.
Why are
I
they,
mean-
why is Vigon putting a warehouse down in the middle of the swamp?
Well, that's
An
where their
old
factory
baseball
is, I
field.
guess.
I get that, but now they're talking about truck traffic in and out. I mean,
Well, it's there
They're
now.
gonna go
They've already got
nuts.
truck traffic there now. They're manufacturing it there.
not coming from up the Airstrip Road though, not
Well-
semi-tractor trailers up and down Airport Road,
Understood.
Airstrip Road.
But unfortunately, we have to give them a change in zoning before they can come in with a plan and do the traffic study to tell us how they're gonna get trucks in and out of there.
Are you talking about Mountain Manor or, oh, okay, yeah, because bygones,
Yeah, so if we don't do a change of zoning, then we don't do anything.
I'm not in favor of changing. the
I'm gonna tell you right now, it's gonna be a
Is
damn
that-
tough sell for me too.
Is that what Winter Barrel was aiming at?
By the way, we
Just not changing the zoning?
Mhm.
Period?
So we have to come in on 9/22 to talk for 30 seconds and then.
No, because Ralph and his people, they've got some sort of presentation style thing they want to do. I would imagine it's gonna be, whatever he thinks that we should hear before we move on to the supervisors. And there will be public, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna let the public speak. There was some criticism of me at the last meeting, which actually, to be honest with you, we're a public forum. And I'm going to make space for members of the public to have their piece. Now, whether or not it's I'll say procedurally messy sometimes, because you get some residents who are more vociferous than others, and I'll work to sort of at least channel it productively, but they're going to have their say, and I'm going to let it happen.
You gotta make sure that there's some level of education if people are saying things that are verbally wrong.
No, they can say anything they want.
I
This is
know
a
they can
public
say
meeting.
things, But you wanna let someone go on for 30 minutes if their premise of their complaint
Well,
is
that
based
happened,
on.
that happened with Black Buffalo.
That's what I'm saying. The premise of what they're trying to say is, you can cut that short and be like, I'm sorry, but it's an industrial zone. No.
As I said, procedurally, it might get messy, and that's why I said I'll try to help and sort of channel and maintain it, but I'm not going to just cut people off.
Agreed.
This is this is one of the places where citizenry and government get to interact.
You have time.
The public hearing is, what, 5 days later? 28. 6 days later.
Continue it to December 31. It doesn't matter.
Same thing there too.
So we're meeting a special meeting to hear this.
To hear this.
What, again, why? Why do we have to have a special meeting?
He and his planning professional could not make it tonight.
So we have to accommodate them on something that we don't want to do?
We already said we would have.
Vote was to do that.
No, we said we would. And we'll let them do it. And we got to let them hear it, but I'm just saying, I'm voicing the concerns.
The other thing that I think would be relevant is to highlight the conversation we just had about the fact that we have yet to designate any R1 into an ED. And all of the present ED, I believe, was commercial, or if not all, most of it.
Michael, I think what I'm hearing here, which is great, is that there's a lot of confirmation about what we should do in this kind of situation. And quite honestly, Mountain Manor is the situation because we don't have anything else like it. This is the last big parcel that will somehow go be something. And I just would urge the plan commission, think about what possibly we could do to be part of this, a new zoning, a new zone, or modifying something, some answer to this, so we get what we want. I think we all want the same kind of thing. And the collaboration between the supervisors and the planning commission is always great when we're putting our heads together towards how do we solve a problem. And this is just another instance of the same.
It's good. I mean, you have the Mountain Lake property too, that you could be looking at what's happening here. Decide to do something with this
Oh, I
property.
forgot about
The old
that.
Mountain Lake property, which is right across the street, that's an 80-acre property, so he could be waiting to see.
Is it that big? 80 acres?
They have that,
Yeah.
A lot of water.
but they have,
But it's still,
they have a
It's the
gas
same area.
pipeline going through it, so that limits some of what they could do. That's a big
Same
part.
question.
Right now it's R1 is bump or R2.
I'm not sure what.
No, I think it's R1.
Well,
Right
you
now-
can look at it right there. It's over there on the wall.
Well, now what they can do is put in giant subdivision of residential.
Okay. But that's probably, that likelihood is that that's not gonna happen. That sort of,
What happened already?
it would be happening right now. It would happen, it would have happened 2.5 years ago. All right,
Motion
So
to
can
adjourn?
we give them some feedback that said that we're real, the planning commission is really not receptive to this?
no, not tonight. They want to have their, we'll do it on the 22nd. Because it's
We
not,
already
it's,
technically tabled
we
it.
tabled it,
I'm not
yes.
sure we're supposed to discuss it.
We can discuss it. It's a public meeting.
Sure, all right.
We can discuss it. We're not taking action. It's not on the agenda, but we most certainly can discuss it. Absolutely.
All
You
right.
seem silly to have a special meeting. That's what it is.
All right. Who made a motion to adjourn? I heard somebody.
One other thing before you adjourn, you should be aware that the water gap appeals.
Oh.
Appeal by water gap of the denial of the conditional use and the appeal by the objectors of the grant of the landowner third amendment are on for oral argument in Harrisburg this Monday.
This is about the.
On the 14th.
Drug.
Yeah.
Well,
The rehab center?
yes.
Yeah, those two appeals are scheduled for argument this coming Monday.
Oh, okay. So in the next few months, there'll be a decision. There'll be a decision in a couple of months. Okay. All right. I second the motion to adjourn. All in favor? Thank you, everybody. See you on the 22nd.
Well, I'm just curious, who's, is it the citizens of Water Gap that are objecting to the, that have